Tonight we have our final draft order show of the season during a special edition of the Fanatically Real Broadcast. It's show 5 of 5 as we host the Sasquatch Region, and it starts in about 20 seconds. Hey, fellow fanatics, welcome to the Fanatically Real Broadcast, sponsored by Sport Management Solutions, your one-stop shop for athletic communications. If you are out there with us right now, please say hello. And I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see you from across the room. For those of you who have been with us for the last couple of nights, have seen that we've had some technical difficulties, which has required me to shift the focus of where things are at on our three screens, which has required me to put these glasses on, which include bifocals, which means that I have reached the old man age, but it has been working for us the last couple of nights. So what we're going to do is we are going to get the Sasquatch draft order selection show going for you tonight. I do not believe that we are going to have the regional manager with us tonight, other than Kevin saying that I am here. He is unable to get on live. That does not matter because we have him here in our pocket, and he has let us already know that he is here. We will start the show off by letting the Sasquatch region know that your all's region draft will be on 19 August, which is a Monday, and it will be at 7 p.m. East Coast time. Kevin, if you want to type that in, and I'll shoot it up on the screen so everybody knows as well. And I'll leave it up there for as long as we can, too, for anybody else who might come on. So 19 August at 7 p.m. East Coast time. So for those of you who have never seen this before, and because we don't have Kevin on with us tonight, here's what we're going to do. We're going to change this up a little bit. We're going to make this full screen and see if you all can see that. I guess you can't really see it any different. We just kind of overlaid the pictures of us on top of it over the last couple nights. This is how we at Fantasy Sports Alliance do our draft order show for our regions. What you have in front of you is the spots for teams 1 through 12. You have two screens that have dice on them. You have the on-deck square in the bottom right-hand corner, which is where all of the logos are at for the 12 teams that represent this region. And you have what's called action dice up in the upper right-hand corner. The way that we do this is we have a hat. You know what? Let me put myself back on screen for just a second, and then we'll pull that back up. We have this hat, which is represented with the Alt-Walt logo this year, which is the logo for the Wizard Redraft League. We have this hat, and we have the 12 logos of the teams that are in this region right here in front of me. And what we do is we fold each one of these 12 teams up and we throw it in the hat. And we shake the dickens out of that hat, and we will roll a 12-sided die. Let me pull that screen back up for you all. Let me see if I can get it here right. We will roll a 12-sided die on that right-hand side screen that has dice on it. And we will put the first team out of the hat in that spot. And then what we do after that is we roll some action dice. Those action dice cause something to happen to that board. As you can see through that list, sometimes we clear the board, we pull teams from the board, we move teams up or down, we swap teams, we lock teams, we flip the board. All kinds of things can happen when we roll those two 6-sided die. It's kind of like playing craps, where you get a total of 2 through 12. And based on that action roll list that you see in the upper right-hand corner, once we roll those dice, that is what happens to the board. And what's funny, Matt B says, evening, I'm out and about. Good luck on your draft order, folks. We just ended up picking Matt's draft, I think 2 nights ago. I think it was Wednesday night that we picked Matt's. And Anthony Ferguson is involved in tonight's draft order show. one of the funny things that I want to draw everybody's attention to is the left side of the board right now that does have the 2 6-sided dice on it. Hopefully you can see that. These dice screens were still left up after last night's final roll for the Cerberus region. So there were 2 4-sided dice still left up there on the screen. And we'll explain that when we get to the final roll here for the Sasquatch region. And after I switched the screen back over to 2 6-sided die, I decided to go ahead and give it a roll to make sure that the 6-sided die were going to come up. And wouldn't you know it, Snake Eyes came up. And if you have been watching for the last 4 nights, we have not had a Snake Eyes come up in any of the draft order shows so far. A Snake Eyes means that we clear the board and start completely over. We kind of had the same thing happen a couple of nights ago where we were testing out to make sure that the dice would roll correctly after we had some technical difficulties. And in that first roll, the Snake Eyes came up. Same thing kind of happened tonight as well. So hopefully that will get the Snake Eyes out of the dice and we don't have to worry about going through that again tonight. Friday night, premonition and things to come. Thought I'd help out. Yes, 19 August at 7 p.m. East Coast time. That is when the Sasquatch draft is actually going to be for the region of the 12 teams that we are going to pull up here shortly. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. So we have 8 people online right now. For those of you who have watched the last 4 nights or have seen this for the last couple of years, we're going to shake this hat. We are going to pull a team out of this hat. The first team that we pull out of this hat, we will roll a 12-sided die, and that is where we put them on the board. The Carolina Panthers, the first going on the board, we will roll a 12-sided die. Make sure I get my screens correctly here. And we are going to put them in the 9th position. So let's pull up the Panthers here on our list. And we will put them in the 9th position. And then we will roll some action dice. Action dice says that is a 9, which means we're going to swap 2 teams' positions with 2d12. I apologize, I hit the wrong button. Let's get 2 12-sided die up there first. If there is a 9 involved in this, we will be moving somebody. If not, and there is not, we will roll some action dice. I don't need to be on screen tonight. Hopefully you all can just see my or hear my voice. Last couple nights, I've kind of put myself out there because I wanted to make sure the regional manager also got the screen time. Since we don't have Kevin on with us, I will make sure that I put his comments out there. But you all don't need to see me. The most important part is this board right now. Ferg says he's late to the show. Let's go. You are not late. You've only missed 1 guy going up on the board, and it's not you yet, so you are okay. Chris says it's better without you. 100% agree. Appreciate it. I definitely have a face for radio, maybe not even a voice for anything. With the next 12-sided, or the next action dice we roll was a 10, which is a 3-team swap with 3d12. So we're going to put 3 12-sided dice on the board and see if the 9 is affected by this at all. We read these dice from left to right. We have a 2, 12, 2. That means there is nothing going on. We're going to roll some action dice. Kevin says you have a beard for radio for sure. Let me tell you what's going on with this beard, man. I have this nervous obsession with pulling certain hairs that feel weird on my face, right? And then once I get a bald spot, I start feeling the hairs that are around it, and I continue to pick. So I just got done paying like $90 for a haircut and a shave from our barbershop around the corner, and I could not stop picking at my face. So for those of you who all of a sudden saw a transition of what my facial hair looked like from one day to the next, is because I could not deal with my obsession of picking at it anymore. And I shaved, not shaved completely, I just shaved it down really, really far because I couldn't handle it anymore. So that's where it came from. I'm glad you all find that humorous. All right, so we rolled a 9. 9 means we're going to swap 2 teams with 2d12. Still only 1 team on the board. Let's see if we get a 9 anywhere in this. We get a 6 and a 3, so that does not affect the board. So let's roll again. We have a 3, which means we're going to pull a team from a board. So let's queue up 1d12, and the only way we're going to pull a team from a board is if we get a 9. A lot of action. Holy crap, we are actually pulling the Panthers off the board. So the board is completely empty, and we are putting the Panthers back in the hat. Hanley says you're not on screen. Yeah, you all don't need to see me on screen right now. Another 30% from the VA. Ferg says that nervous beard thing has to be another 30%. Well, I'm tapped out now, so I don't know if another 30% would help me out anyways. But, yeah, you're probably not wrong. There's probably a percentage that goes along with that. So the board is cleared now that we pulled the Panthers off of it. So we're going to roll a action dice to see what we're going to do from here. And 6 means we're going to swap 2D's position. Nobody's on the board. We got to get somebody on the board here. Let's see if we end up getting a 5, 7, or 8, which are the 3 ways that we can get people on the board. We just rolled a 5, which means we're going to roll into an open position as filled. That means we have to pull a team out of the hat first and get them on the board. PTSD from having to shave for over 20 years. You know what? That is probably the best explanation that I have ever heard of this. My wife would probably have another word for it. She has her psychology degree. She would say that there's something else going on with me. But Anthony, you're probably not wrong. After having to shave for 20 years and having facial hair now, all of a sudden it probably is something. Land sharks coming out of the hat. We're going to roll a D12 and put the land sharks on the board in some spot. He is going into the number 9. That doesn't look like a 9, but on my screen it is a number 9. And that is where we just ended up pulling. Where are you at, Land Sharks? There you are. That is where we just pulled the Panthers from. So the team that comes off the board gets replaced for a team in the exact same spot. We are rolling a 6, which means we are swapping positions with a 2D12. We're only doing that if a 9 comes up. This 9 is very popular tonight. That is a 6 and a 3. That means nobody's swapping. We are rolling some more action dice. Action dice says 8. Which means we are putting another team on the board. However, if we do roll a 9 this time, that means the Land Sharks are coming off the board. If not, the next team out of the hat is going on the board, and that team is the Peach State Who Daddies. Who Daddies going on the board as we do 1D12 in the number 4 spot. So the Who Daddies are going in the number 4 spot currently. We got a team up in the upper row and a team in the bottom row. Let's roll some action dice. Yeah, you know what? It's so funny because I have friends who try to grow a beard after the Army, of course, and they say it's always itchy and all of that stuff. I've never really gone through the itchy stage, and I don't believe that my picking is an itchy thing either. I use beard balm and all kinds of stuff to try to keep it soft. I think it's just an obsession. Misty says there is a thing in her book of psychology that is called like trichotillomania or something like that. I might be getting that word wrong, where it's people who have obsessions to pull hair off of their body. And it's probably me telling too much, especially for all of the people that are just watching us for the first time. It's not just my face hair that I have a problem with. I'll find a hair on my body, on my arms, or anything like that I will pull off. It's just a weird thing. But I feel like that when I create the bald spots on my face, you know, it's way more noticeable for everybody. And I just had to shave it down the other day. So we just rolled a 5, which means we're going to roll into an open position as filled. But before we do that, we got to pull a team out of the hat. We have the Epidemic Elephants getting ready to go on the board. I love this logo. I can't wait for you to all see it when it goes up on the board. We are going to put him in the number 8 spot. It's got to be one of my favorite logos of the year, going into the number 8 spot. And we are going to roll. Let's see. I'm always itchy when mine grows out, Hanley says. Anthony says you're weird. The Army broke you. You're absolutely not wrong. But I honestly believe that this was probably a thing even before the Army. I'm glad that they didn't ask me on the Army questionnaire coming in, do you have trichotillomania? Because I wouldn't have known what it was to say yes or no anyways. But if I had known and I answered, they probably would have kicked me out anyways. 3 says we're going to pull a team from the board. but only if we roll a 4, 8, or 9. So we queue up one 12-sided die. Let's see if we get a 4, 8, or 9. We get a number 1. There's nobody in that spot. Let's roll some action dice. Yes, it is a zombie elephant for the epidemic elephant. And I think if I remember right, when I put that logo into the AI program, that's pretty much what I put, something about zombies on there. And it came out great. Chris says a 2-hour show incoming because maybe I'm talking too much. However, we did roll a 5, which means we're going to put another team on the board. That team is going to go on the board. We will continue to re-roll until a spot is open up for it. Let's see who we're going to put on the board. We are going to put the Lumberman on the board, and he is going to go into one of those open positions, which is number 1. So Lumberman, for the moment, are going into the number 1 spot. Just taking teams off the board, and we haven't had the eyes yet, man. What kind of eyes you talking about? I don't know what you're mentioning. And the logo is great. I will agree. It is one of my favorite logos that we've got as far as new logos go for the year. We had quite a few teams that actually had AI logos this year, but I think that's probably one of my favorites. 7 means that we are going to roll into an open position is filled. There's only 4 teams on the board, so only a third of the board is filled. So whoever comes out of the hat is going to go on the board. We just got to make sure we get them in an open spot. It is Lucky S. Ferg. So, Anthony, if you're out there right now, we're getting ready to put you on the board. Let's see what spot we are putting you on. We are putting you in the number 2 spot. Ferg holding down a co-championship from a couple years ago. I think it had to involve that game between the Bengals and the Bills where we had a player die on the field. And then we ended up having to consent a tie for that game. And he has now a co-championship. Look at that. We have not had snake eyes for any of the nights, but I've got to think that if I had to go back and count, that's got to be our 6th or 7th flipping of the whole board. So Lumbermen go from number 1 to number 12. Lucky S. Ferg goes from 2 to 11. The 9 and the 4 spots swap, and the 8 goes up to number 5. That's wild to me. Reason I say that is the percentages of snake eyes and flipping of the board coming up are exactly the same, but we've had a crap ton more of the flipping of the board than we have the snake eyes. I mean, considering we haven't had any snake eyes. There it is. Right after we flip the board, we get the snake eyes. You all get what you're asking for. So let me start folding up all of these teams, putting them back in the hat. I'm glad it's early enough where we only have 5 teams on the board. Same odds, back to back. We have flipping of the board, and then we finally have the snake eyes. Chris says it's too early. He's not excited about it. So for those who have not seen this before, after we get snake eyes the first time, after that, anytime after that, we do a 3-team swap. So we don't do snake eyes multiple times anymore like we have done in years past. We won't do that. So let's pull the elephants off the board. Let's pull the land sharks off the board. Let's pull the Who Daddies off the board, the Lumbermen off the board, and Lucky S. Ferg off the board. So we are starting completely and all over like it never happened for the last 18 minutes and 52 seconds. We are going to shake the Dickens out of the hat. We're going to pull a team out of the hat. We are going to put them on the board. We're going to roll a 12-sided dice, and we are going to get Music City Miracles up on the board, and we are going to put him in the number 4 spot. So let's get Music City Miracles pulled up here, and we're going to put him in the number 4 spot. I'm glad it happened finally after 5 nights. In fact, I even put out on Discord a little bit that I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm glad that it finally happened. I am happy that it was earlier in the show than being on the very last roll. Kevin says that he wants the Northern Nightmares to get the number 3 spot. That is your regional manager requesting the number 3 spot. Hanley's happy that it finally happened. Anthony says damn and boo, and he laughed out loud. But hey, I'm happy that it finally did happen, and I'm happy that it happened early enough in the show. Let's get some action dice out here. We got a number 7, which means we're going to pull another team out of the hat, roll a 12-sided die, get them on the board in whatever position this is. This is for an open position, so if we roll a 4, we will re-roll again. We are getting Chris up on the board right now with the 1863 Ramblers. Let's get him rolled and put him on the board. He is going in the number 8 spot. Chris, man, I can't ask for you to stay there any more than anything else I've ever asked for and wished for in all of FSA's history. After I got the number 8 spot and got locked in there yesterday, you were talking about how crappy that spot was. And I said in Discord, I hope you get that spot. I know it won't last, and I know you'll switch around, but God, I would love for you to be stuck with the number 8 spot with me. Chris says he's crying right now. You know you won't stay there, so it won't matter unless you get locked in like I did. Needed to happen with only one team left. Nah, I'm glad that it happened that way that it did. Let's roll some action dice. God, I can only hope for an 11 for a lock, and Chris can get stuck in the 8 spot. That would be like the most poetic justice in the 30 years of us doing this, to be honest with you. Chris, I love you to pieces, man. I love you. Rum Runners, which was the number 1 pick in this region for the general manager draft. He is a Hall of Fame member. It is a number 7, so he will be going on the board in one of these spots, and he is currently, after getting picked number 1, going into the number 1 spot, at least for the moment, in the Sasquatch draft order. Let's roll some action dice and see what we got going on next. We have a 7, another team going on the board. This is until a position is filled. We've only got 3 teams on the board. Let's see who's going next on the board. We're getting the Northern Nightmares. The number 3 spot is open for you, Kev. Let's see if you end up there or not. Number 1 is already occupied, so we have to roll for you again. You're going in the number 8, already occupied by Chris. Put you in the number 12 spot, probably pretty far from where you would like to be. However, that number 12 spot is awful close to that number 1 spot, so you never know. Let's roll some action dice. 8 people out there. Hello to the 8 of you that are out there. 5 says means we are going to roll until an open position is filled. Means we got to pull a team out of the hat. When we pull that team out of the hat, we are going to continue to roll until one of the other 8 spots are open. We are putting the Lumbermen back on the board. Chris says he can have 8. Anthony's 12 and a lock. Hanley says, actually, you know what? I'm going to put this one up on the screen because I like the graphic that you end up putting with it. Lock it and 8. That would be great. So we are getting ready to put the Lumbermen back up on the board. Let's see where he's going to go. It is a 5, so we will continue to roll until an open spot. 5 is open. Let's put the Lumbermen in the number 5 spot. Looking like we're filling the board a little bit more now. I'm going to have a little bit more action when these dice get bounced around here. 8 means we are going to roll a D12. And if there is already a team in that spot, the team we pull out of the hat right now will replace the team that is in that spot. That team will come off the board and go back in the hat. We are putting the Epidemic Elephants back on the board. They are going to go into the number 1 spot. That means Rusty is coming off the board of the Rum Runners and going back into the on-deck square. Let's pull his logo out of this stack here. We're going to put him back in the hat. Chris says 888. He was just hoping to get pulled from that spot. He did not. We're going to roll some action dice. We have a 6, which means we're going to swap positions with 2 12-sided die. Let's see if this affects anything. We have a 5 and a 3. Means the Lumbermen are moving up to the number 3 spot. And we are going to roll some action dice. Got a 10, which means we are doing a 3D swap. Left to right when you see these numbers, as best as we can get. We are getting a 12, a 4, and a 6. The 12 is going to go up to 4. The 4 is going to go into the 6. There is nobody in the 6 to go up to 12, but just like that, Kev, you went from the 12 spot to the 4 spot. So make sure I got that right. 12 to 4. There's nobody in the 4. Can I back? Okay, somebody back that up because now we have somebody in the 6th spot. Was the we can't do that. Hold on. 12 to 4. There was nobody in the 4, and the 6. The 6 would go to the 12. I'm looking at this wrong. So we will take the Music City Miracles down to the 12. I was confusing myself with moving the 12 back to the 4. That can't happen. 6 will go into the 12 spot. Music City Miracles go there. 6 was empty. You were in the 4, and then you moved to the 6. Okay, never mind. Won't touch it again then. So we went from 12 to the 4, 4 to the 6. Tell me if I got it right now. You all are out there watching it. You know I'm human. I can screw this up. 3D swaps are confusing sometimes. Tell me if the board as right now, 4 is much better than 12. Are we straight with where the board's at right now, though, however? If ET says that it is right, okay. If ET says he was in the 4, we moved the 12 to the 4, the 4 to the 6. Okay, Chris says it's right. Anthony says it's right. ET, as long as you say it's right now as well, we'll roll with it. Sorry about the confusion. Sometimes with those 3D12s, I do get easily confused. 6, a little bit easier when we do 2D12s. Only got to worry about 2 teams to swap around. The 1 and the 4 are getting swapped. So Kev, from the 12 to the 4 to the 1, and you are now in the number 1 spot. ET says that it is good to go. I appreciate you guys for keeping me straight and honest. 4 means we're going to move everybody up or down the board based on an odd or an even roll on the 12-sided die. And I want everybody to understand that when we say move up or down the board, think about this as a ladder where the number 1 spot is the number 1 rung and the number 12 spot is the bottom rung. When we say an even number, that means everybody moves up 1 rung. So if you're in the number 2 spot, you go to the number 1 spot. If you're in the number 2 spot and we get an even number, you go down to the number 3 spot. This board is also circular. So if you're in the number 1 spot and we get an even number, you go to the number 12 spot. Now we need a board flip to bring it full circle. Almost. I mean, this could happen with a 1D12. We could see Kevin end up in the number 12 spot anyways. It is an odd number. That means everybody is moving up 1 position. So Kevin's going to the 12. The Rambler's going to the 7. Damn, Chris ended up moving up 1. Lumberman going to the 2. The Elephant's going to the 3. And then Spencer going up to the 5. So everybody moved up 1 spot. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice says 3, which means we might pull a team from the board. If we get a 2, 3, 5, 7, or 12, team is coming off the board. 3 is coming off the board, so the Elephants are coming off the board. I think he's already been off the board 1 time. Let me pull his logo up and put it back in the hat. Damien says right where Kevin belongs in the number 12 spot. Spoken like a true rivalry. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice says 10, which means we're going to be doing another 3D12. Please make sure that you all keep me honest and straight on this one. We're going from 2 to 1 to 6. The 2 is going to the number 1 spot. There is nobody in the 1 spot to go to the 6 spot. There is nobody in the 6 spot to go to the 2 spots. That means the Lumberman just moves up 1 spot. Rolling some action dice, we are getting a 6, which means we are doing another 2D swap. I like these much better, much easier to keep track of. We just moved him up into the number 1 spot. He is going down to the number 7 spot. Since we moved everybody up 1 spot, that means Chris was in the 7. He is now in the number 1 spot. I'm sure that he's loving that. So since he's not in the 8 spot, all I can hope is everything in the world, somehow he ends up still back in the number 8 spot. 6 means we are going to do another 2D 12 spot or swap. Let's hope there's a number 1 involved in this. There's not. There is a 12 and 11. Kevin moves up 1 spot. Only 4 teams on the board. And hell, we're almost 30 minutes into this show. 9 means that we're going to do another 2D E12 swap. Let's see what we get on the board this time. That looked a little slow. 4 and 11. That means, Kevin, you are now moving up the 4 spot. I swear, you're as bad as Damien during the show whenever he was moving around a whole lot. Number 9, which means we're going to do another 2D12 swap, and let's see who we get this time. We get the 4 and the 7, so Kevin just moved up to the 4. Now he's trading out with the 7 in the Lumberman. I think Kevin has now had almost every single spot on this draft board tonight. 6 means we're going to roll another 2D12. Man, I wish we could get some more teams on the board. That is a 2 and a 9. There is nobody in those positions. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice says 5. 5 says that we're going to roll until an open position is filled. We are going to put Lucky Ass Ferg back onto the board. And because this is a 5, we're going to roll until an open position is filled. We only need one 12-sided die. My apologies. Let's put you in the number 7 spot. Well, we have to roll until an open position is filled. 4 is also occupied. 7 still occupied by Kevin. 10, that is an open spot. So Ferg, you are going into the number 10 spot. Yeah, he's in the number 1 spot. We can't be mad at Chris, man. He does a lot for us. If he ends up in the number 1 spot, so be it. However, we are moving teams up or down 1 position on the board. So Chris is about to be 12 or 2. We don't know yet. 1 12-sided dice will let us know. It is an even number, which means he is moving down 1 position. So number 1 goes to number 2. Number 10 goes to number 11. Number 7 goes to number 8. Number 5 goes to number 6. Number 4 goes to number 5. Everybody moved down 1 position. Chris, you are sitting in number 2. I like it a little bit closer to the 8 spot. 10 means we're going to do a 3-team swap. Man, I wish we could get some more teams on the board. Pretty easy on this one. 10 is going to go to 3. 3 is going to go to 7. 7 is going to go to 10. Nobody's in any of those spots. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice says 6 means we're going to roll 2d12. Let's see who's going to swap out, if anybody. We have a 4 and a 5. That means the Lumbermen are going to move up to number 4. I feel like there's a lot of teams that have not made the board yet. Garbage Points haven't been on the board. Mermen haven't been on the board. I think everybody else was already on the board before we had to pull them off. That is an 8. That means we are going to pull another team out of the hat. We are going to roll a 12-sided die. They are going to go on the board regardless because they might be pulling a team off of the board. If not, they're going to go into an open spot. And we have the Epidemic Elephants getting ready to go on the board again. Let me make sure I get this right. 1 12-sided die. He is going to go into the number 2 spot. Chris, that's where you're at right now. You're coming off the board. Let's pull the 1863 Ramblers and put him back in the hat. So this division is just shy. That could be. Let's roll some action dice and see if we can get Chris back on the board and put him in the 8 spot where Kevin's at. 4 means we're going to move everybody up or down the board by 1 spot, depending on if we have an odd or an even number. We have an odd number. That means everybody's moving up the board. So Elephants just got on the board. They're going up to 1. Lumbermen up to 3. Music City Miracles up to 5. Kevin up to 7. That means the 8 spot is now open for Chris. And we're moving Lucky Ass Ferg from 11 to 10. Let's roll some action dice. 6 means we're going to swap with 2d12. Let's see if we're moving anybody around or not. We are moving the number 10 and the number 1. Look at that. Lucky Ass Ferg moving up to the number 1. The Elephants moving down to the number 10. Ferg sitting in the number 1 spot currently. 7 means we're going to finally pull somebody out of the hat and put them on the board in one of these empty spots. We still don't even have half of this region on the board. Only 5 teams on the board right now. Lots of empty spaces to put. The Mermen finally going on the board. Gratz is here as well. Man, Damien, I don't think you've seen the board yet. I don't think the Garbage Points have been on the board yet. But for right now, we're going to put the Mermen on the board. Because it is a 7, we will continue to roll. Hey, that is the number 8 spot. Let's put the Merman in Chris's spot so he can come take it later. And let's roll some action dice. Ferg is crossing his fingers, hoping that he keeps that number 1 spot. Well, if you're in the number 1 spot, you ain't going to have it by the end of the last roll of the thing. We got a number 7 right now, which means we're going to pull a team out of the hat. Got 2 stuck to my fingers here. That team is going to go on the board no matter how many times we got to roll. Chris going back on the board, but not in the number 8 spot as it is currently occupied, but we can put him in the number 4 spot. So, Chris, you're going in the number 4 spot. Put you there for now, and let's roll some action dice. Ferg says, lock me in. As you say it, we get a lock on the board. Currently, we have 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 10 currently locked. That's 7 of our teams. That means pretty good likelihood that there will be a team locked right now. Number 10, the Epidemic Elephants are going to be locked in the number 10 spot. Let's get that one put on him. So Jason Tremblay is not moving anywhere. Let's see if we can get it above his logo there a little bit. So it looks like he's locked. So the number 10 spot is completely locked in right now. Nobody else can get that. Tremblay. Oh, Snake Eyes means we are doing a 3-team swap. Look at that. We don't get any Snake Eyes for the other nights. We get it 2 times tonight. We're not clearing any boards. We are doing a 3-team swap, as that's what happens when it comes the second time around. Let's see what we get. We got an 11, a 3, and a 5. Nobody in 11. There is somebody in the 3. 3 will go here, and the 5 will go into 11. So the Lumbermen will go to 5. Music City Miracles will go down to 11. Roll some action dice. Action dice say 7 means we're going to put another team on the board. We currently have 4 open spots. I'm sorry, I can't count. That's 5. 2, 3, 6, 9, and 12. We got to get you guys on the board. 2, 3, 6, 9, and 12. Who Daddy's going back up on the board. Let's get 1 12-sided die queued up. See how long it takes to get a 2, 3, 6, 9, or 12. That is a 9. Right away, we're able to put the Who Daddies on the board. Board's getting pretty full. I think we're 2/3 of the way there. We got another 8, which means we got to pull a team out of the hat. This team is going to go on the board no matter what. It means it also might cause a team to come off the board. Let's see what we're putting on the board. Land Sharks going on the board. I can only hope that it's a 4 so we can pull Chris from the board. It is a number 5. Land Sharks are going to go up. Lumberman is coming off. Land Sharks is going in that spot. Let me pull the Lumberman's logo and put it back in the hat. Let's roll some action dice. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me count them again. 4 spots that need to be filled. That is an 11. It's a possibility we're going to lock another team. Let's see with a 12-sided die who may be locked. That's the number 2 spot. Nobody's in there. Man, you all were hoping it was you. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice says 9 means we're going to swap teams' positions with 2d12. Let's roll 2 12-sided die. That is the 4 and the 5. Chris and the Land Sharks swap. Chris, you're now in the number 5 spot. The perfect location for a board flip to put you back in the 8th spot. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice says 6, where it's going to mean another 2d12 swap. 2d12 swap says we are going to swap 9 and 8. The Mermen and the Who Daddies are going to swap their 2 spots. Let's roll some action dice. 9 means we're going to do that again. Another 2d12 swap. We are now swapping 4 and 7. Land Sharks going down to 7. Northern Nightmares going up to 4. We have 4 more spots still that need to be filled. 8 means we're going to put a team on the board out of the hat, but it also means we might be putting a team back in the hat. This is where we replace a team if the number comes up. Garbage points, I think the only team still not on the board so far through all of this. Panthers are going on the board right now. Let's see where they are going to go. If they are going to knock somebody off the board or go into an empty spot, they're going in the number 2 spot. That is completely empty right now. We have 3 more spots to go. Let's roll some action dice. 11. We have all but 3 spots on the board, means highly likely that somebody's going to get locked on the board. That lock is going to the number 8 spot. Damn it. That means Chris cannot get the lock in the number 8 spot. He can't even get the 8 spot at this point. It means the Peach State Who Daddies are in the 8 spot. Dang, that really hurts my heart a whole lot. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice says 7. It means we got to roll until an open spot is filled. 3, 6, and 12 are the only spots that are still open. We still got to pull a team out of the hat to see who's going in that spot. Rum Runner's going back on the board in a 3, 6, or 12. Going to have to roll for a while to maybe get 3, 6, or 12. That's a 10. Chris says he's very happy now that he's not getting the 8 spot. I'm not happy, not even a little bit. 3, 6, 12. That is a 4 according to my screen. Just want you all to know that. I'm not going to take the easy road out, but there is the 3. So we are going to put the Rum Runners in the number 3 spot. And let's roll some action dice. Action dice says 10, means we're going to be doing a 3D12 swap. That looks like a 10 going to 6. Epidemic Elephants can't go anywhere. There is nobody in the 6. And 3 going to the 10 can't happen because that is a lock spot. That was a null and void roll. Let's roll the action dice again. Number 11, another lock. So we had 3 locks last night. It's a possibility of a 3 locks tonight, depending on what we roll here. 6 and 12, the only open position still. We're going to lock in the number 5. Chris, you are locked in as the number 5. Hopefully that makes you happier than you would have been at 8. Not that I care. I would have liked to see you suffer in the 8 spot instead. Let's move your lock all the way up so it's on top of your logo. So we now have 3 teams locked, and I only have 3 locks on this thing created. So if we have to do another one, I might have to create another lock for this. 7 means that we are going to put one of these last 2 teams, which is either the Lumbermen or the Garbage Points, on the board in either the number 6 or the number 12 spot. See what we're putting on the board. We're putting the Lumbermen on the board, which means Garbage Points haven't been on the board all night. Not even a little bit. He is the last team that's going to end up in the thing. And you know what? All of you saying that you needed to see me on screen, I guess this would probably help if you guys could see the logos of who I'm pulling out. And now that we're down to the last 2, guess what? You get to see me. I hadn't thought about that part of it. I thought my voice would be good enough for you all, but I guess sometimes you just need to see these logos. So since this is a 7, we have to roll a 6 or a 12 until it comes up. So it could take a while to get the Lumberman on the board. I guess it doesn't. We're going to put him in the number 12 spot. That means if we roll like a 5 or a 7 in the next roll, Garbage Points are going into the number 6 spot, since he never came out of the hat. Number 4 means we're going to move everybody up or down 1 position. He's actually in the hat. He's right here. We'll throw him back over here into the hat. Number 4 means we're going to move up everybody 1 or down 1 position based on an odd or an even roll. The locked teams are going to really play havoc with this, so let's see what happens. We got a 2, which is an even number, which means everybody moves down 1 position. So moving down is circular. So number 12 becomes number 1. 11 becomes 12. 9 actually shifts down to 11. 7 shifts down to 9. 4 shifts down to 6. 3 to 4. 2 to 3. 1 to 2. And the Lumbermen are currently in the number 1 spot. And that means now the number 7 spot is open. And we have an 11, another locked team possibly going on the board. So I'm going to have to create another lock. Let's see if I can make a copy of this somewhere. I don't know where it went. I've never had to actually do this before. There we go. There is our fourth lock of the night. Let me put it over there, and we're going to see if it locks any teams. The only number that wouldn't get locked would be the number 7. That is the number 9, which is the Land Sharks. So we will be putting a lock on him. This is going to wreak havoc on the final roll. That is 4 locked teams in a night. That is a 9, means we're going to swap 2 teams' positions with a 2D12. All that time when you guys were asking for, and that's a 5 and a 5, and they can't go anywhere. So to see me on camera, I never even thought about having to show you the logos. But you know what I was still doing? I was still showing the logos to the camera as if you guys could see me. Number 3 means we might be pulling a team from the board. But with so many teams locked, who knows if somebody's actually coming off the board or not. Let's see if we are pulling off the number 2. That means Lucky S. Ferg, you are coming off the board. That means garbage points are not the only ones still left in the hat. We are getting ready to put Lucky S. Ferg back in the hat. So now we have 2 teams in the hat. And let's roll some action dice. This is turning out to be a really crazy night. Everybody's moving up or down one position by odd or even. Let's see how this one plays out. That is an even number, which means everybody is moving down one position. So we have to make room. So Lumbermen go down to 2. The Music City Miracles go up to 1. Mermen go down. Nobody here moves because they're all locked. Northern Nightmares go down. Rum Runners go to 6. Panthers go to 4. And did we already move the Lumbermen? Because they were already in the 1 spot, right? So we had to move them down to the 2. Chris was right. We called the 2-hour show. Lumbermen were in the number 1 spot. We had already moved them down to 2 to make room for the Music City Miracles. So just to triple check myself, everybody, that's correct, right? Let me know. First person that says yes, we're good, we'll move on. I don't want to do anything until I know I'm right. There's only 7 of you out there, so somebody got to let me know. Also, I need a drink of water. Chris says I wasn't watching, but yes. Man, you have no skin in this anymore. You got the number 5 spot. We're rolling some action dice. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. We got a number 8, which means we are doing a D12 and replacing a team on the board. Grat says we're good. I know he can say we're good because he's still not on the board yet. So one of these teams is going on the board right now, and another team might be coming off. Grats, you're finally getting pulled out, man. So as long as you don't go into one of the locked team spots, you are going on the board. Let's see where you're going. Going to the number 11 spot, that is an open spot. You are the only person who has not had the lock unlocked on them as far as the OBS side goes. So currently you're in the number 11 spot. Congratulations for finally getting on the board, brother. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice says 7, which means the only spot that we have left on the board to fill is the number 3 spot. Lucky S. Ferg is still in the hat. We're going to put him over there, and that means we have finally reached our final roll. For those who have not seen the final roll before, we put away the 2 6-sided dice, and we bring out 2 4-sided dice instead, and that means that our action dice list changes to our final roll list. Now you get the numbers of 2 through 8 on this final roll. Hanley says almost halfway to 2 hours. Yeah, we're 48 minutes right now. It's a long show. If we roll a 2, 3, or 4, we will do swapping of teams 2, 3, and 4 with a 2, 3, and 4 D12. If we get a 5, we'll move everybody up or down one position by an odd or an even number, just like we did on the normal rolls. If we get a 6, and it means that we are flipping a row, we will roll a 12-sided dice, and whichever number comes up, that is the row we end up flipping. What does that look like? So let's say in this case we end up rolling a 2. We will flip 1 and 6. We will flip not 2 and 5 because of the lock on Chris, but we will swap 3 and 4. If we get a 7, that means we are flipping both rows. It's going to be really ugly when we get ready to do that because there's not a whole lot that can happen there. The only the only 2 teams that can actually swap are the 7 and the 12 because everybody else is locked, which affects the other teams that are not locked in that same position during a flip. And then when we flip the whole board, that means the 1 and the 12 flop, the 2 and the 11 flop, and there's not a whole lot more else that's going to go on other than the 6 and the 7 because of the locks everywhere else. And this is why we talked after last night's show saying that maybe we need to rethink this lock thing for next year, which I'm 100% for. I have queued up 2 4-sided dice. We will, I think for the last 2 nights in a row, the last roll was a 7, which would flip both rows. Doesn't do a whole lot in this case because we have 4 locked teams. But let's give this 2d4 a roll and see what happens tonight. We have a 6, which means we are going to flip one particular roll, and roll. I can't say either one of them. We got to roll a 12-sided dice first to figure out which row it is that we are going to flip based on the number. And that number says 9, which means we're going to flip the bottom row. And the only 2 teams that we can flip are the 12 and the 7. Because the 8 and the 11 cannot swap because the 8 is locked and the 9 and the 10 cannot swap because they are locked. That means Kevin, the regional manager, ends up with the number 12 spot and will be on the churn. ET, you got the number 1 spot. Lumberman, number 2. Lucky ass Ferg, you were sitting at number 3. Panthers, number 4. Chris, as much as I hate to say it, you were locked at number 5. Rum Runners Hall of Fame member is number 6. I'm just getting all these pretty, so when I take a screenshot of it, I can send it over to you guys on Discord. I need to get the draft orders put in here shortly on MFL. Probably something I will do tomorrow night after the birthday party that I have to go to. Merman at number 7. Peach State Who Daddies at number 8. Land Sharks at number 9. Epidemic Elephants, I still love that logo, at number 10. Garbage Points, late, very late to the party at number 11. And Northern Nightmares, your regional manager, in the number 12 spot. There is your draft order. I will say it again. Kevin has locked in your guys's draft to be on the 19th of August, which is a Monday. And I'll copy and paste this over onto the screen for you guys after this. Maybe you actually want to see my face now. You guys' draft is scheduled for 19 August, which is a Monday at 7 p.m. East Coast time. So I know that many of you are in different time zones. He tried to make it as fair as he could with as many inputs as he could. I think he actually got input from everybody except for one person. That is what you all have agreed on. So 19 August at 7 p.m. East Coast time. When we get through this weekend, maybe even on Sunday, I will probably start putting the draft schedule up on Discord. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And then the draft order will go on MFL shortly, probably on Sunday as well. So thank you all for a great final draft order show. We finally got our snake eyes. We even got 2 of them, but one of them didn't affect the board. Lots of locks tonight. Unfortunately, Chris did not end up in 8 spot. I think he probably likes the 5 spot a whole lot. You all have a great evening. Thank you for being here with me on a Friday night. Hit me on Discord after this if you got any questions. And then we will see you next Wednesday, which let me look at the date on that. I don't even know what date that is. The 14th. We will be back on the 14th of August for our regularly scheduled program. Make sure you're there for that. No idea what we're going to talk about, but we'll come up with something. And Damian, thank you. I appreciate it. You all have a great night. Have a great weekend. And we will see you on Wednesday. Talk to you then.